Windows 8 is upon us and has been so far very underwhelming for many folks, but I'm here to help you get through some of the rough edges when you first start out with Windows 8, whether you've upgraded or bought a new machine. First thing you'll notice when you boot up your Windows 8 machine is you no longer have the traditional desktop. You have this tiled situation here. I don't even know what they're calling this. They used to call it Metro. But you can get to a desktop by looking for one of these little tiles that's named desktop, and by clicking that you'll get a more traditional looking desktop, except without the start button. To get back to the tiles, just push your start button on your keyboard, or if you hover the mouse on the right hand side of the screen, you'll get these things which they're calling charms. We have all this new vocabulary for Windows 8, and if you click Start, that'll get you back to this screen as well. So first thing about this screen, once you get used to it, it is somewhat functional, and you're going to find that there's different things that they've included and things they have not included. And for you to add and customize any of these tiles, all you have to do is right click on whatever you want to customize, and at the bottom you'll have an option to either make the tile smaller, uninstall it, or if you don't like all the blinking and everything, you can turn off the live portion of it, which is doing all the blinking. So for example, this travel one, I'm going to go ahead and uninstall it. It says, are you sure? I'll uninstall, and then it's gone. These kind of tiles that don't have a traditional icon on them, they have more of a cartoony icon, are what's called Microsoft apps. And in order to get an app, you first have to have a Microsoft account, and then you go to the Microsoft Store, and then the Microsoft Store you can scroll through. Everything is sideways in Windows 8. You scroll everything sideways. So these are all their featured things. If I want to search the store, I have to go over here to the right hand side, pull up the charms, and then I can search. So if I search for word processor, it comes up and gives me some of the word processing programs or related programs that are available in the Microsoft App Store. So I'm going to go back. Here's the back button up at the top. I'm back in the store. So once you're in one of these Windows 8 apps, how do you get out of it? Well, that's a crazy thing. If you try to push escape, nothing happens. If you try to right click, you get kind of this thing up here, Home, Apps, and when you right click, sometimes nothing happens in these Windows 8 apps. So the only way to get out of them is either, again, pull your mouse to the upper right hand corner and then go to your charms, and then you can click Start, or once again, if you push the Start key on your keyboard, that's the little Windows flag key, that will also bring you back to this screen. So that's a little bit about navigation with Windows 8. Now let's talk about customizing the start screen here a little bit further, as well as making sure you have icons here on the traditional desktop if that's where you want to go. So if I'm here on this start screen, and let's say that I'd like to have my spreadsheet over here front and center because I use it often, I can just click it and drag it to wherever I'd like, and then let go, and it puts it in place. Now, as you can see, I have an open spot here, and if that bothers you, you can pull something else in there, or I can get rid of, like Internet Explorer. If I don't want Internet Explorer, I can right click on it, and I can say unpin it from the start menu, and now you see it's no longer on here, and I can pull something else in its place, and now I have a little bit of a balance again. Or if I don't want this sports area to be so big, I can right click on it and make it smaller, and then it has the small icon versus the big icon. So right clicking on these things is a way to customize how they look, or you can just simply drag the little tiles around into whatever order fits you best. If I want to demote, like for example this calendar, I can pull him way over here. Now this isn't everything on your computer. To get to everything on your computer, again, push your mouse into the upper right hand corner to invoke the charms. Then if I click search, I get all of the apps that are on my computer. including the accessories, some of the system tools that you're used to, and things like that. So for example, here's File Explorer, and if I use that a lot so I can get to my files, I can right click on it and I can say pin it to my start. So let's do that, and then we'll get back to my start, and there's my File Explorer. So I can pull him into place over here, and then when I click on him, he comes up. Interestingly enough, he comes up on that desktop I showed you earlier. Now you'll notice that while we're here, the File Explorer, which was known as Windows Explorer before, looks very similar to Windows 7. You have your folders down the side, and then if I click on my documents, then my documents show up here. But they've now ribbonized the Explorer so that you have some tools readily available to you up here at the top. So if I click on an item, I can move it, copy it somewhere, delete it, rename it, etc. So overall, it's not a lot new, but I just thought I'd show it to you since we got out here. To add an icon to the desktop here is extremely difficult, so I'm not going to show you that in today's tip. The only way you can get these to come up automatically is when you install a program and it gives you the option to add to your desktop, then you can get it there. Another thing you need to know how to get around to in Windows 8 is the control panel. And I found a couple of different ways to get to the control panel. One is if I'm on this desktop, I can click down here on my File Explorer, Windows Explorer, and then from this area I can go to one of the drop down buttons in the address bar and then get to the control panel. So that's one way to get to it. Another way is invoke those charms over here on the right and go to Settings, and then Settings down here at the bottom you have some options, or you can go to the full control panel here. Now notice already that if you've been watching, the settings, when you click on them, they do change depending on where you are. If I'm on the desktop, they look like that. If I'm on this Start Metro looking screen, I go to Settings, they look a little different. You see the control panel isn't even visible here. I can go to Change PC Settings here at the bottom, and that brings up a very simplified version of making some changes to some of the more basic settings that are available. And again, to get out of here, there's no escape, there's no X. The only way I can get out is pushing the start button on my keyboard, or invoke the crazy charm thing again and push start there. So there are some quick navigation and customization tips for new Windows 8 users. I will be adding new Windows 8 tips throughout the rest of the year and of course into next year as well. If you have any ideas of tips you'd like to learn about with Windows 8, feel free to leave a comment on my website at helpmerick.com.